All right, so we are going to finish up our Easter love letters from God story today. I hope you guys are enjoying this one. We're going to start with the darkest day. High on the hillside, Jesus hung on the cross. Long, sharp nails pinned him to the wood. A crown of spiky thorns dug deep into his forehead. Jesus was ready to die, but he was still afraid. He could see his mother crying. He could hear the soldiers laughing at him. He could feel the sharp nails through his hands and feet. Jesus cried out. He could not move. He could not breathe. He felt all alone. Where was his Father now? The sun disappeared behind a huge gray cloud. Cold crept in. Darkness covered the world. Jesus closed his eyes. He bowed his head. He took one last breath. And at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, in that cold and darkness, Jesus died. The wind howled. The whole earth trembled. The rocks shattered. The hills quaked. And the mighty curtain in the temple split in two. But Jesus was still. It was finished. And our love letter is, Dear first grader, shall I tell you a secret? When Jesus was crying on the cross, I was crying too. When those nails were hurting Jesus, I was hurting too. When Jesus felt all alone, I felt all alone too. And when my son died, part of me died too. But guess what? Death does not win in this story. Life wins. Love wins. My promise to Jesus was that nothing could separate him from my love. And that is the same promise I give to you from God. Love God. The quiet cave. Jesus had died. Joseph and Nicodemus were sad. They carefully took Jesus' body down from the cross. They cleaned him. They wrapped his body in strips of white linen and carried him to a quiet cave on the hillside. They laid Jesus down inside the cave. Then they said goodbye. Before they left, they rolled a big stone over the entrance. Outside the cave, 2 guards kept watch. The big heavy stone was sealed in place, and for 3 whole days it was still. But inside that quiet cave, God was working. If you tried to peek inside, you couldn't see anything. If you stood outside and put your ear to the big stone, you couldn't hear anything. If you tried to imagine what was happening, you couldn't. But inside, God was doing something utterly amazing. Something only God could do. Jesus waited, and the whole world held its breath and waited with him. And our letter is, Dear first grader, do you like surprises? Inside that quiet cave, I was working on a surprise that no one could imagine. It would be the greatest surprise the world had ever known. Something was happening to Jesus. My son was going to have a brand new life. But for 3 whole days, the world had to wait. Love God. And do you see they have a caterpillar and a butterfly here? Because kind of like a caterpillar goes into a cocoon for a little bit and then comes out as a butterfly, as a new life, Jesus went inside that cave to transform. Let's see. The super surprise. There was something special about the day. The birds that lived in the trees above the quiet cave knew it. They knew it when they opened their eyes that morning and saw the sunrise. The sun peeked out over the horizon and seemed to wink at the world. Pinks and oranges, yellows and reds flooded the sky. Golden rays reached out like fingers toward the cave and twinkled as if they were holding a secret. The birds could feel an early morning whisper, a song gliding through the trees. And now the birds could hear it, a whisper that got louder as it danced along. It was a name carried on the wind, sailing through the leaves, rushing through the grass. The birds perked up and opened their beaks to join the chorus of all creation as every living thing sang the name that is above any other name. Jesus, Jesus. Jesus is alive. The big stone had been moved. The cave was empty. The sun was shining. Jesus, King of the world, was alive again. The trees clapped their hands. The flowers danced for joy. The birds flew high over the fields and carried the news, the most wonderful news that the world has ever heard. Jesus is alive. And soon the disciples would know it. Jesus' mother would know it. One day, everyone in the whole world would know it. And now you know it too. And our letter is, Dear first grader, can you believe that my son Jesus came back to life? Only the King of the whole world could do that. Jesus is the King of love, the King of hope, and the King of heaven, and he wants to be the King of your life too. Will you let him? Just whisper, Jesus, I believe in you. Teach me more about how you want me to live. Thank you for showing me what love looks like. Thank you for dying on the cross and for coming back to life, for forgiving me and showing me the way to heaven. Amen. If you just whispered that prayer, welcome to my family. You are now part of the most wonderful family on earth. And it's wonderful because you just joined it. I love you, God. And that's the end. So, I hope you guys enjoyed that story. And what I want you to remember most this Easter is not that Jesus died, but that he came back to life. And that the reason he had to die was for us, for each and every one of us. And he loves us all so much that he did that for us. So that's definitely something to rejoice about this Easter. I hope you enjoy it. Stay healthy and stay safe. I'll see you guys later.